I'm Van Sebastian, here with my co-host S.A. Baz Collins for this week's Written on the Edge Season 9, Episode 36 interview. We'll be talking with J.P. Jackson. That's right, he's come back to see us after all this time and discussing his dark erotic shorts Skin Sessions, his Paranormal, The Magician's Heart, and the upcoming medium rare collaboration. Not working today. JP, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, buckle in. His bio is awesome. JP Jackson is an award-winning author of dark urban fantasy, queer horror, and even paranormal romance stories. But regardless of the genre, they always feature LGBTQ main characters. JP works as an IT analyst in healthcare during the day, where, if cornered, he will confess to casting spells to ensure clinicians actually use the electronic medical charting system he configures and implements. But at night, the writing happens, where demons, witches, and shapeshifters congregate around the kitchen table, and general chaos ensues. His husband of 26 years has very firmly put his foot down on any further wraith summonings and regularly lines the doorway with iron shavings and salt crystals. Imps are most definitely not house-trainable, and ghosts appear at the most inopportune times, and the Fae are known for regular visits where a glass of wine is exchanged for a good old story or two. Although the husband doesn't know it, Diego and Jalisco, the two Chihuahuas, are in cahoots with the spell casting. JP's other hobbies include hybridizing African violets, thanks to his grandmother, extensive traveling, and, believe it or not, knitting. JP, welcome back.
Do you
Thanks
and
for having
do you and Tom Daly exchange patterns? That's what I want to know.
No.
Tom, get on that.
Although I'm game.
Okay.
There you go. So it's been a couple years. What have you been up to?
Uh, Life has been chaotic. The husband and I have moved. We ended up with a gorgeous condo and then decided that, yeah, we're gonna sell it all and make Mexico our not permanent, that would be the wrong word, main residency.
Hmm.
So I'm retiring at the end of the month, so all of those spell casting for IT use is going to have to stop. It's kind of disappointing.
But I'll
Um,
get to read a new bio.
yes, I'll
Yeah,
have
well,
to.
there you go.
Yeah. And there's been lots of writing. Yeah, I'm not sure where I found the time for it all, but yeah.
So
Then
the
watch. Yeah,
origin story.
wait. Then watch. He'll retire as the creative of
So, for folks who haven't heard one of your previous interviews, I love the origin story. And like all good origin stories, it starts in a deep, dark basement.
Oh my God, you do love this story.
I
Um,
do.
as a youth, I was an excessive reader, just like anything I can get my paws on. My very first adult book, I can't say adult like that. The very first book that I read that was aimed towards perhaps a R rating when I was 12 was The Exorcist. Followed
Nice.
right by
that
after.
explains all.
Yeah, exactly. And after that, it was Amityville Horror, and then it was Stephen King and Anne Rice. And so, anyways, so I read and read and read. But there was never any stories about guys like me. And if there was representation, it was terrible. It was just horrible. And I've had this conversation lately with a few people, and they're like, "Well, I don't understand. What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Classic horror movie, Silence of the Lambs." Right? Everybody's like, "Oh, yes, Anthony Hopkins." Right? I mean, it's iconic. But
Yeah.
the villain in the story, Buffalo Bill, what was the impetus, the catalyst for them becoming deranged? Their gender dysphoria. And those were
Right.
the kinds of images that the queer community got in the 80s and the early 90s. And so in my 40s, looking at my bucket list, going, well, I haven't done a damn thing, when I could write a book. No training. I don't have any creative writing classes. I'm certainly not technical, so commas are sprinkled like everywhere.
Like grass
Your editor
seed.
loves you, right?
Oh, like seeds out in a garden, just oh, they're everywhere. It was horrifying. Anyways, so I wrote this book, and my husband had absolutely no idea because we watched completely different shows. So I would actually turn the TV off, and I just started writing. And then when I went the end, I came upstairs, and he's like, "You were down there forever. What were you doing?" And I'm like, I think I wrote a book." So,
Best line ever.
and he just like, "Of course you did." So that's how it all started.
Right. Well, fast forward, we've got three topics to discuss today. Let's start with the shorts.
Oh,
Skin
yes.
sessions.
You know, so it, I I never thought that I was going to write hot and heavy sex, and there was a big piece of me that was like, I don't want to go there. I just want to tell stories,
Mhm.
queer stories, but just stories. And I got picked up by a couple of publishers and Nine Star Press and Rebel Satori's Queer Space. Just gotta plug them.
Mhm.
And my books were received well and they did okay, but um, I when you get enmeshed into the writing community, and especially the queer writing community, it's like, how come y'all are making so much money and I'm not? So I thought, well, they're writing stuff about tentacles. I suppose I could do that. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to pause some of what I'm doing, and I'm going to write a short story serial based off of my own bizarre, demented, crumbling worlds that I like to put together in my brain and throw a lot of sex in it. And I'm going to self-publish them. And there's not a lot of, I'll warn people, there's not a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Refinement. So I'm not sending these through three levels of editing and whatnot. I go through my beta readers and go, was anything glaringly horrifying? And most, as much as I love my editors and they are next to God because they take all those commas out for me, um, um, they're worth their salt and they're worth every dime that they get paid, but I wanted to make money. So I cut that out. And I don't like saying that, but I did. But I gotta tell you, the readers really haven't noticed. So
Mm.
for
The most
what this
important
project is,
the most important thing is if they understand what you're writing, you've succeeded.
Right.
if they can get lost in the story and enjoy the characters. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
having said that, I did make some money. I broke even between like having my covers created and whatnot, and I bartered for formatting because I haven't got a clue how to format. And so we did the self-publishing, and it was just digital. So yeah. So, anyways, Skin Sessions. It's about a gay brothel in
You want to show them the
our.
cover?
I'm sorry. Oh
You
no,
want to show them?
that's
They're
not the
they're
same
they're
Oh,
book.
digital.
oh,
Um,
gotcha. Okay.
it's okay. A gay brothel in a future state world where the climate change has kind of started to really wreak havoc with storms and chaos and population emigration has started. So the cities are overwhelmed with refugees and there's no housing and blah 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 blah. It's a shitty world, and where this brothel called the Unicorn's Horn um, was a bustling, successful business, is now really failing, and its building is failing because people are spending what little money they have on survival, not getting their dicks wet.
Right.
So, so One of the characters, one of the boys in the house is an occultist. He's a witch boy, and he hears rumors of a nearby demon. So he casts a spell, summons the demon to their doorstep. First installment is Demon at the Doorstep. And the demon is an incubus, a sex demon,
Mhm.
and makes a deal with the boys and the owner, Sir or Gavin, and says, I will help you run this, and I will make sure that it's busy, but you must allow me to possess you once in a while. And by you, it's the stable of purveyors of favors. You must let me feed off the sexual energies that occur within the household, and you must provide me with a human sacrifice once a year. So, what can go wrong when you make a deal with a
Well,
demon?
it's the
Nothing.
episode of Supernatural we never got.
Like, right? Oh God,
Yes.
I love you forever. Because that's exactly I have consumed Supernatural like so many times. I own
Uh-huh.
the entire series, and it's like I just need it to be more gay. I wanted Dean and Castiel to get together so bad.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. Anyways, so yes, that's the flavor and the atmosphere of my books is very much supernatural. So yes, as it turns out, we are 5 installments into what I'm planning to be about 8. So we have Demon at the Doorstep, Branded and Bedeviled, Carnal Animals, Trick of the Light, and Stitched Up Tight. And I'm currently writing What Grows Wild. And in every installment, the family grows, but one of the original boys loses their humanity.
All
Dun
right.
So
dun
it's
dun.
fun. And it's just, there's tentacles.
I have to give you a funny story, little side story that attaches to what you just said. My husband's youngest, his son, we had to take him to lacrosse practice a lot, and he had to wear the cup. And I one time he went to a practice and he forgot his cup, and we were having a conversation about what we could do to improvise. And he says, "Well, I need my cup because it protects my tentacles." He meant testicles. So that became so when you said
Child, if it's a
tentacles, that's where
tentacle,
I
you're
went.
going to have all the boys in your yard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And wipe. No.
Brain bleach.
Brain bleach, brain bleach. Uh, are there other characters you want people to know about?
Tazriel is the incubus. He's quite lovely. He can shapeshift, and not only just so that he appears maybe perhaps a little bit more human and less demonic, but he can also shapeshift various parts of his body.
No.
So sometimes it's bigger, it's longer, it's snake-like, it's got hard ridges, it's got bumps, it's got, yeah.
Sometimes it's a tentacle. What do you know?
Yeah,
Sometimes,
right.
well,
Well,
no, he hasn't done the tentacle thing yet. We have that's stitched up tight.
Okay.
The character Scotty likes to create clothes, and so Taz says, "Well, how about we increase the business and put a tailor shop in, and then you can, you know, outfit customers." And his very first customer, of course, is one of Tazrael's longest friends, and is a hybrid kraken. And yeah, anyways, yeah.
let the mind wander.
There's some suit fitting going on with tentacles squishing out of places, and yeah, I'll leave that to your
Well,
imagination.
as it does.
Right.
Exactly. Corbin is our witch boy. He has a infection, as you find out in Branded and Bedeviled, and so I'm not going to tell you how and why, but the house ends up with a pet ghoul in the backyard. Let's see what else. Oh, Dante, or Da Vinci, sorry. Da Vinci is the drama.
Of
He
course.
is, yes, he is the fabulousness of the house, and can really go from very masculine to ultra feminine. And lo and behold, he actually kind of likes the spotlight and likes to sing. So Taz says, well, let's increase the business. And so they create a bar for him in the basement where he gets to entertain his guests. And Taz brings in a siren and says, he's going to help play the piano for you. Well, the siren says, I can make all the boys come to your yard. And so he donates one of his scales and slips it into Da Vinci's skin. And of course, the siren abilities take over and um, chaos ensues. And then there's a couple of werewolves, and there's oh yes, there's Gavin is the owner and sir of the house, and he ends up with a um, pup pup play. Uh, Comes for training, and turns out that the guy has nowhere else to go because of the state of the world, and so Gavin says, you're more than welcome to stay here. And in the course of events, he gets dragged down to hell and then turned into a hellhound. So now Gavin has his own hellhound.
You really have touched all of your worlds with this, haven't you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And What Grows Wild will be turning one of the characters, Isen, into a dryad.
Neat.
Yes.
Very neat.
It's it's a wacky world of found family and delicious devilishness and the most I oh there's sex everywhere. And MD New, who we all know and love,
Yes, we love Mark.
read my has read all of them, and he's the first to say, I'm not fond of stories with that much sex, and I kind of wanted to skim over those parts and just read the story, but damn you, you incorporated story into the sex scenes. So now I have to go back and read them. I'm sorry.
What a lovely review.
It
Yeah,
was
there you go.
actually, I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
exactly.
MD, I love you. So, anyways, they're tawdry. Oh, they're muy caliente. They're fun, and they're kinky as hell,
Mhm.
They're
and
romps.
they're romps, but they're short. So it's not meant to be a full novel. It's meant to leave you questioning and hopefully pull you into the next one. So,
When all eight are done, will it be about novel length?
oh, more than that, probably two
Okay.
novels. Each
Okay.
one's about 25 to 30,000 words.
Okay.
The first one, which was the intro, and it was just 10,000 words.
Nice. So they're significant then.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to bundle them together, kind of like two sections, and then make them available for print because they're so short. Really,
Mhm.
to print would be. I don't even think I'm allowed to be
Right.
on it. The
Right.
Zon has limitations.
Yup. All right. Anything about them we didn't think to ask, or should we move on?
Oh, we can move on.
All right. Male romance, paranormal, the magician's heart. You have this one to hold up for us. Beautiful. So tell us about it, the whole tarot series.
Yeah, this was really fun. A year ago, I got a message from Amanda Mewison. I butchered that, Amanda, and I'm sorry. But anyways, um, and she said, "Hey, I hear you write like really fantastical urban fantasy, and I have a project that I'm putting together." And I'm like, "Okay, what you got?" And she said, do you know the tarot cards? I'm like, girl, do I know the tarot cards?
What a
Yes,
question.
I know the tarot cards. Um, and basically, the premise was they would put together 22 authors for the 22 major arcana cards of the tarot. And once we were all assembled, she did a random draw of card and author. And so the concept was you had to write a paranormal romance novel based off of the qualities inherent within the card that you got assigned. And I got really lucky. I got the Magician, which is card number 1, but in the tarot, 0 is the Fool. So the Fool starts everything off, and then next one is the Magician, card number 1. And plus, it's a very male-centric card to begin with. And so I was like, okay, let's do this. And I ended up, yeah, writing the Magician. It's not a long story. It's, I think, just over 50,000 words, but
So,
yeah, fit the parameters for the collaboration. And yeah, we ended up, I don't know how she did it because I mean, I can't wrangle 2 dogs and a husband most days. And she got 22 authors to come together and get books done. And so we're about halfway. No, we won't say halfway, but we've released several books now, and they're all doing really, really well. And so, yeah, come pick up The Magician's Heart.
so without spoiling too much, how did you translate that card and its meaning to literature? Where did you
And
place that?
Uh,
and and I want to add, were the inverse ever part of the equation, or were they always?
That was up to you. So
Oh,
if you
okay.
wanted to look at the inverse and incorporate some of the negative qualities of the card, and that's harsh because depending on the card, sometimes the upright can be perceived as
Mm-hmm.
negative, and it's
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
all about your interpretation of the card, right? We
Mm-hmm.
all face
Mm-hmm.
challenges and obstacles in our lives. So, anyways, so the magician card is really about manifesting your will into reality, and um, taking the divine and making it real life, um, finding the best qualities of yourself. And so the very first quote I have in the book: real magic is not about gaining power over others. It is about gaining power over yourself. Rosemary Ellen Geely. And so that's kind of what the book is about. And that's for me what the magician card kind of stood for. So we have Patrick, who is a late 40s water witch who is powerful enough to be able to also pull in the other elements. That makes him a magician. And he's kind of a hermit, lives his own quiet life. He's got a pet dog called Argus and a chaos gremlin raven called Chaos. And just kind of lives his life, right? And he gets pulled in by the Magician's Council for some magic stuff every now and then. And he's got a deal going on with the town sheriff that if anything weird or wacky happens, he gets called in to take a look. And then we have Alan. Alan, poor Alan. He just this consecutive string of poor life decisions. Late 20s, doesn't have a path and direction in life, and really needs to find himself. Ends up on a ill-fated camping trip where his friends have also invited his abusive ex. Drinking happens, poor decisions happen. There's an attempted sexual assault, and his innate witch abilities explode in response to the attempted sexual assault, and unfortunately kills everybody but himself. He also does it on protected Fey land, which is that's a big no-no.
Okay.
Yeah, they were trespassing on their camping trip to begin with, but poor life decisions. Anyways, Patrick comes in and basically has to mentor Alan, who doesn't want a mentor, Patrick, who really doesn't want a student, and the two of them find that not only are they attracted to one another, but in order to get Alan to the next level, they kind of have to acknowledge their attraction. And there's a looming deadline. The Fae want retribution, and in return for desecrating their land, they want Alan. Dun dun dun.
da, da, da,
Yeah,
da, da, da.
it's a
Nice.
fun little story. Um, Interestingly, it's also been the most successful out of all the books that I've done. Um,
Nice.
yeah, but you know what? I was happy with the story. Parts of it were a bit of a challenge. I had to redo the ending a couple of times, but you know what? As successful as it's been, and I'm so proud and happy about that. Maybe it's not my favorite story that I've written.
That's fair.
So, but
That's
yeah,
fair.
it's doing really good and like tons of reviews. So I would say to any author out there, if you get the chance to do a collaboration, do it. You are working with a group of other authors who have varying levels of experience, and also you're pulling in from their reader base. Um, you get to pick people's brains. It's good for networking. It's good to stretch your wings out a little bit and try something new. And yeah, it was a really good experience for me.
Nice.
Excellent.
Very nice.
Love it.
All right. I know our next topic is an upcoming topic, but it's upcoming really soon, which is why I'd rather talk about it now because people can pre-order it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's another collaboration titled Medium Rare. What is your part in that? I almost asked what your stake was in that, and I shouldn't have.
Oh, well, that's okay. My steak, right? Medium rare.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Um,
I can't help it,
Midwestern
a dad
humor.
joke every once in a while.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Midwestern humor.
I actually expect it from you. Medium rare. So, Blake Allwood, writing as Adam J. Ridley, kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, like we're both doing this Tales of the Tarot. Wouldn't it be fun if we did our own collaboration?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, two at the same time? Are you crazy?" Um, and instead, we wanted to pull in own voices to write paranormal romance stories. Just there's I've got a few slide decks that I made for some promo once. I had well over 40 um, male identifying authors who were writing some form of romance stories, paranormal, horror, erotica. Like there's all kinds of different romance, right?
Hmm.
And some of them just don't get the spotlight that they deserve. And some of them are writing amazing stories. So we thought, let's see if we can pull some together and do a collaboration. So it's called Haunted Hearts. There are 10 of us, and each of the stories is vastly different. And they're all the catalyst within each story are ghosts.
Nice.
So that's coming out. The first book is Christian Bain's Geistfleisch, which ghost flesh.
Ghost Flesh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of I believe, oh, Christian, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, kind of a prequel to his Arcadia Trust series. And
Okay.
if y'all have not read that, you need to go read it. It's so good. Christian is so creepy. It's just wonderful. So I'm expecting fantastic things for this. I got my arc the other day. I need to dive into it along with all the 17 other arcs that are in my TBR waiting to be read. Um, and so that comes out September 27th, and then there's 2 weeks until the end of October, Halloween, right? Perfect. So mine's called Medium Rare. It comes out October 21st, and it's about Kate Ivanov, who has a little bit of a Romani family history, and he has
Hmm.
the family gift of being able to see and talk to the dead. Um, but they've gotten a little violent lately. In fact, very aggressive and very violent.
Hmm.
And he has a few run-ins with ghosts that actually leave physical marks on him, which has never happened before. And he goes, you know what? I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So he wants to run away to a small town because he lives in the big city of Edmonton, and hoping that a small town less people, less density, less ghosts. And he meets Jay, who's a real estate agent, also single dad, bisexual. And within their first day, they have some rather spirited encounters. And turns out Jay's son is being haunted. And we find out that Samuel, the son, is much like Cade. So they have to fight the paranormal and figure out why the ghosts are being so aggressive and violent and save Sam, or do they? Dun dun dun.
To be continued.
Right.
Check it out, October. You said 21st for yours?
October 21st, and you can
Yeah.
pre-order it now.
Nice. All right. Are there any other works in there you want to kind of point at?
You know what? There's lots on the writing docket, and
Okay.
our last day of work is October 29th. Day job.
Fair enough.
So I'm kind of hoping I can, get a few hours of writing in, maybe not every day, but every other day, and yeah, enjoy time with the hubby in Mexico and get some writing done.
Perfect. All right. Are you ready for get to know you questions?
I am. I'm going to have a sip of coffee first, though, because
Well, that answers my first question.
Yep.
What's your
okay,
favorite
go.
writing, snack, or drink?
Say that again, Baz?
What's your favorite writing, snack, or drink?
Oh, okay. Well,
That's what I said. You answered the first question.
coffee. Yeah, I consume an inhuman amount of coffee. It's wrong. I'm keeping Colombia as a country running.
Right.
Um,
Juan Valdez will be very happy.
Juan Valdez and I are
All right. Well, what books
me
did
and
you
me.
read? Okay. What books did you read growing up?
What books did I read growing up?
We know The Exorcist. You already gave us that one.
Yeah, well, and that
Yeah.
was when I was a teenager. So growing up, Winnie the Pooh, Hardy Boys, Where the Wild Things
Of
Are,
course.
right? And actually, I'm a little too old for that. I went back and read it because it was like, look at the characters on the front of that. I got to read that. But beyond the kids' books, and I mean, my parents had a hard time keeping kids' books fresh on the shelves. I read a lot of Stephen King and Rice. And then I branched off into fantasy for a while, and I read almost everything Piers Anthony wrote, which, if anybody knows Piers Anthony's catalog, that's an extensive amount of books. The Land of Xanth was, ugh, that was fun. Anne McCaffrey in the Dragon Rider series. Stephen R. Donaldson, White Gold
Mm-hmm.
Wielder. That,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then it was just, whatever I can kind of get my hands on that kind of looked interesting. And then I found queer fiction. I was like, oh. And that started in the 90s when I was going to school in the US, and I could only work on campus as a foreign exchange student because I'm Canadian. And so I was finding any queer book I could find in that massive library and reading it. And so I read some really wild and crazy things. There was one book I will never, ever forget. It was called Frisk. I do not remember the author's name, but it was wildly mind-blowing. Like it was just there were some things going on in that book that just should not have been put pen to paper. It was like, I can't believe I'm reading this. Wow.
All right. Well, moving on. Who has been the biggest supporter of your writing?
Oh, well, indirectly, I would say my husband, because he puts up with my crazy. But yeah, right. He's like, what are you doing? I'm writing.
All of our husbands.
Uh-huh.
But Vance and I have often joked that we should have like maybe like a guest like you, but have all of our husbands run the show for one
Oh
episode.
God. Oh God, no.
Talk about a horror story. Can you imagine how that turned out?
Oh, and occasionally he has to come tap me on the shoulder and go, hi, there are other people in the world, the
Right.
real one. Yeah. So indirectly, he's definitely the biggest supporter I have. I mean, and I love him to pieces. We've been together for 26 years. There's nobody else that's going to put up with this insanity, I promise
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, there's a handful, I think, of other writers that I've met, and you know what? I've only met one of them in real life, because we're scattered across the globe.
Mm-hmm.
MD New, who I've met him and his husband when we were in Puerto Vallarta, and you have to pick up his. I still love his A New World sci-fi series. It's
Hmm.
probably some of the best queer sci-fi I've read. It's wonderful, but he's got all kinds of stuff. He's actually got a new book, Golden Hills Haunting. So he did a ghost story before the collaboration, and I was like, damn, I should have got you into it. Um, okay, Glenn Quigley as well. He's from Ireland, and he's a sweetheart of a man, very creative and very talented. And he writes historical fantasy, and his The Moth and the Moon series. You got to read. You feel like you're walking down a seaside town like 150 years ago, and you can smell the creosote docks and the salty waves and the barnacles. Like he's brilliant.
Visceral. Yeah.
Um, yeah, very, it's just amazing stuff. Author Blake Allwood, uh, again, romance, but he's branched off and he's doing some urban fantasy stuff. Kevin Clare from Australia,
Hmm.
he does what I would call magic realism. His stuff is really like it's very inorganic, intangible, and it's just unreal. His
Ethereal.
Midnight
Yeah.
Man was so good. Who else? David Eric Roman, and he writes horror. I mean, 80s horror. You want your Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th? You got to go read Long Night at Lake Never.
All
It was
right.
everything 80s slasher horror movies that you could want, and they're all queer fiction. Who am I forgetting? If I'm forgetting anybody, we have a core group of just, and we bounce ideas off each other. We support each other. We bitch to each other. It's wonderful. Oh, John Patrick. Oh, he also writes historical queer fiction, but it's based off of real life events. Oh God, I can't remember the name of his series, John. I'm so sorry. Anyways, you pick up John Patrick. Really, really, really good stuff.
Okay.
All
Well,
right,
are you a morning person or a night owl?
not a morning person. This is painful.
Thank
For
you.
everybody out there right now, this is being filmed at 9 o'clock in the morning. Ooh.
I'm right there with you. All right. What's your favorite hobby outside of writing?
Plants. Oh,
Not knitting?
well, I do enjoy knitting. I do, but it's not. Um, I have to go inwards to knit because there's so much counting, and I'm shitty at math. So there's drop stitches everywhere. But no, I like my plants because they don't talk back, and if they die,
Well, there you go. All right. Has writing and publishing novels changed the way you see yourself?
yeah, I'm a sick fuck.
He says every morning as he's brushing his teeth.
Yeah, as these ideas come to me and go, what is wrong with you? Who hurt you? Um, in all fairness, yeah, I mean it has, but it's one of those. Oh, damn, you really are kind of creative, and that whole claiming the title of author and writer, it seems that's where the imposter syndrome kind of kicks in, and you're like, oh, really? No, I didn't do that. 15 projects on Amazon says differently, but
Right,
it's
right.
still weird to say that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. All right. Has if you were to write a spinoff about a side character of yours, who would you pick?
Ooh, I'm already contemplating this. So I have
All
series
your
of books.
characters lean in.
Yeah. Mhm. Um, um, I have two books right now, Summoned and Cursed. I'm writing the third, Possessed, and those are the Magus Malefica series, so my witch boys. And the witch boys start off in book one having this blood feud with the local pack of werewolves.
As
Everton
it
Lit,
happens.
it happens, and like, the
You
two
know,
just belong, they need to figure their shit out. Um, Everton Lynch is this gruff, grumpy, burly, bald-headed alpha werewolf. And let's not get into the alpha, beta, omega. He's the one that happens to lead the wolf pack. And oh my God, does he have a chore in his hand? Because it's like herding stray cats, except
right.
they're werewolf,
Except they're
right?
wolves.
They're wolves. Anyways, he has a kink. He likes non-human things. So one of the characters in the series ends up not human and has these big, massive horns. And yeah, Everton likes those. Anyways, Everton's origin story is briefly touched upon in the books. And I would love to go back and explore that because he's like almost 100. And so he's got a long life history. And so it would be, I think, fun to kind of tease that apart and take him through the various decades. Can you imagine bell bottoms and a werewolf?
All right.
Mm.
Have you
Nice.
ever traveled for research of a book?
No, damn it, I need to.
I know.
Um,
That's how you write them off.
well, yeah, I have another Magic or Die, and I do have about half a next book written on that after that one, and one of the characters um has a horde of demons living inside of her. Anyways, the
Sure, you don't want to
she
call it Full House.
yeah, I like that. Um, yeah, they're like Eastern European. There's a coven on that side of the world, and that very dark. I don't know. Whenever I think of like, Transylvania and all that old European is just for me, it's this sinister, and it's not. But for me, it's just this dark, sinister place, and the witch that comes and helps her is from that area. Anyways, she gets pulled back there and she disappears out of the storyline for a while. I would love to go to that whole area and tour around for a couple of months just to get the feel and the flavor. And oh yeah, that'd be
Okay.
good.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Well, the final question: how do you celebrate when you finish a book? She throws on
um
her best frock, grabs a drink, and sits out on the deck.
well, that's done. um to be honest, it's kind of the minute you're done writing your first draft, you've only just started, right?
Yeah,
And
it's true.
it's
It's true.
not really done until it's like this.
And even then, you're
Mhm.
out promoting, so it's
Yeah.
You're
still,
out promoting and marketing all the time, and then you go back and sometimes your readers come back and go, "Did you know that you did this?" And you're like, "Oh, don't tell me these things, God. Now I want to go back and write it again." And so I don't think you're ever done with the story. The characters tend to start to live in your head rent free.
and
And
they get really pissy if you ignore them for too long.
oh my God, I have had characters from like the very first book I ever wrote go, "Excuse me, hello,
Still
what the
here.
hell? You promised me another book."
You said 5 minutes to curtain, and that was like 4 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, you made it through the list, so bravo you.
Bravo.
And I've only talked incessantly for an hour. God, I'm sorry.
Only 50 minutes. You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have talked about the ongoing shorts series. We have talked about the tarot collaboration, which is still ongoing, it sounds like, and the ongoing ghost series. So, where is the best place for people to go to get updates on the next releases for any of these?
Oh, I have a newsletter, so I have a website, and there's a, come follow me, come haunt me. So join the newsletter because I don't inundate people with it. Like I maybe put it out once a month just to say, hey, look, things you need to know about. I might highlight some of my fellow authors in that process too, because you know what? When we all win, everybody wins. And
Yeah.
I tell a certain brand of story, but believe me, there are so many good authors out there who deserve to get noticed. Um,
Yeah, let's quit
Other than
with the
that,
reboots on TV and momovies. Go out and find these authors that are writing amazing stories and
absolutely.
do those projects.
Hmm.
Yes, 100%. New, fresh ideas.
Hmm.
Always. Beyond that, I'm on all the socials. I have a
I'm sorry.
author. I know, God. Oh, they're just such a soul suck.
You know,
Um,
I ever since Vance
Mm.
stopped doing a lot of that stuff, I took a page out of his book, and I have never been more at ease and more peaceful in my life than when the only thing I do is YouTube. That's it. That's it. That's all I do. I just watch YouTube, and I'm on YouTube with this channel, and that's all I do. I don't want to know about everything else. Y'all can have your fun over there.
you know what? Listen, if I get to a point where I can put out a book and go, hey, guess what, guys? I've got a new book, and then I can just run away and it does its own thing.
Right.
Yeah, I won't be on the socials that much because they're draining and they take
Hmm.
time away from all the other things that I like to do.
Exactly.
Right.
Right? But yes, I still gotta market. I still gotta
Yeah.
be
No.
there and
No.
go,
Oh yeah,
I remember
absolutely.
me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wrote a book last month. Did you remember me?
So it's not that I've bailed on them completely, but now I use them for research for interviews.
Yeah.
And when you turn social media into, okay, here's my goal, here's my research, as opposed to just a screen flip, it's not as bad.
Yeah. If you
It's
use
still
it as
not
the tool, it
great.
really should be.
Yeah.
I probably need to phone you, Vance, and say, okay, give me deets on this. I've actually had to turn the news off
Hmm.
because I can't. It's
Yeah.
just in my head explodes, and my husband comes and goes, "What's wrong?" And I just point to the TV screen, and goes, "Then turn it off."
Oh, yeah, duh.
Right?
All right. So, folks, jpjacksonwrites.com is your springboard for everything we've talked about. Links to his social. So, if you are on one that you enjoy and you want to follow him there, please do so. Otherwise, just join his newsletter. Links are all right there. All right, JP, any final words of wisdom?
Not wisdom. Go out, behave badly.
There you go.
Love it. All right, we'd like to extend a huge thank you to JP Jackson for joining us. Thank you so much. Oh. We at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. So if you enjoy learning about new artists or hearing our thoughts on entertainment media, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. The show was produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our links, social stations, or to sign up for as a guest, visit www.rotepodcast.com. Tune in next week for your queer media fix.
Bye now.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.